Most important work happens in the background with no fanfare, no red carpets. It's about being so good at what you do that, when the stakes are high, you're the person that people turn to. And even if no one knows your name yet. Before we start the show, I have a quick question for you. Is your resume stuck in the rejection pile? At Resume Assassin, I create powerful resumes that showcase your skills, experience, and achievements, getting you noticed by recruiters. I'll also optimize your LinkedIn profile, transforming it into a magnet for opportunity. Visit resumeassassin.com today and take charge of your job search. Visit resumeassassin.com. Sometimes the biggest heroes don't make the headlines. Sometimes they're tucked away in quiet offices, changing the course of history with a pencil, a slide rule, and a mind that refuses to be underestimated. Today's story is about a woman who charted the stars, but had to fight just to be seen. A mathematician whose numbers didn't just send men to the moon, they also brought them home safely. A genius hidden behind closed doors for decades. Today we're talking about Katherine Johnson, the NASA human computer who proved that brilliance knows no gender, no race, no limits. Welcome back to Resume Assassin's Career Stories. Imagine it's 1969. You're sitting in a crowded control room at NASA. Cigarette smoke curls in the air, and punch cards shuffle. The hum of computers, machines that are slower than the phone in your pocket, fills the room. On a giant screen, a tiny, fragile spacecraft drifts closer to something that no human has ever touched: the moon. The whole world is watching. Every second, every calculation matters. And somewhere, sitting at a plain desk, piled high with papers, is a woman that most of us have never even heard of before. Katherine Johnson, mathematician, pioneer, hidden figure. And she's not on TV, she's not in the newspapers, but her mind, just precise, steady, brilliant, is woven into every inch of that journey. So let's talk about the very beginning. Katherine grew up in an America that didn't believe women, especially Black women, could be scientists. She knew better. By 13, she was already attending high school. By 18, she had degrees in mathematics and French. By her mid-30s, she was working at NASA, the precursor to NASA, one of a handful of Black women hired as human computers. Katherine didn't want to just crunch numbers. She wanted to understand the why. She asked questions. She pushed to sit in those meetings where flight trajectories were mapped out. She refused to let her brilliance be hidden behind closed doors. And slowly, calculation by calculation, she earned trust. Not with noise, not with protest, but with relentless, undeniable excellence. Okay, so now back to 1969, the Apollo 11 mission had no room for error. Launched the Saturn V rocket, escape Earth's gravity, navigate to the moon, 238,900 miles away, land the lunar module on a surface no human had ever touched, and then lift off again and rendezvous with the command module. The return to Earth and survive atmospheric re-entry, every stage, you guys, depended on math. And not just any math. Perfect math. Katherine Johnson's calculations determined the trajectory. She mapped out the exact pathways the astronauts needed to follow. If her math was off even by a tiny fraction, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin could have been stranded in space. National heroes completely turned ghosts. So there's a famous story that John Glenn, preparing for his historic orbital flight, didn't fully trust the new IBM computers. And he said, get the girl to check the numbers. And the girl was Katherine Johnson. And John Glenn absolutely refused to launch until she confirmed the computer's trajectory. That's how much her work mattered. When Armstrong took that first step on the moon, it wasn't just a triumph of human spirit. It was a triumph of human calculation. Katherine's invisible fingerprints were on that first boot print on the lunar crust. So in April 1970, Apollo 13 launches with little fanfare. You know, the public is already a little bit bored with spaceflight. We've already done it once before. Okay, guys, we get it. Until an explosion absolutely rocks the spacecraft. A rupture, an oxygen tank cripples the command module, and the crew loses power. They lose heat and they lose breathable air. In Houston, engineers scramble. The world is literally holding its breath. And once again, hidden behind the scenes, Katherine Johnson's work becomes critical. Months earlier, she had run dozens of simulations, backup plans, contingency trajectories, in case anything went wrong. And now her math became a literal lifeline. Using her calculations, the team figures out how to use the moon's gravity to slingshot the broken spacecraft back toward Earth. The margin for error? Inhumanly small, you guys. They had to hit a re-entry corridor just 2 degrees wide. Too steep, and they would burn up. Too shallow, and they'd skip off and stay in space forever. But they made it, and the capsule parachuted into the Pacific Ocean. It was called a successful failure. And at its heart was Katherine Johnson's preparation. Her belief that if you plan for the worst, long before the worst happens. When the Apollo era ended, Katherine did not stop. She helped chart the early space trajectories for the space shuttle program as well, which was a revolution in space travel. And the shuttle wasn't a one-way rocket either, you guys. It had to launch vertically, orbit at 17,500 miles per hour, and then glide back down like a plane. And so there were thousands of new variables, thousands of new dangers. And once again, Katherine's math formed the backbone of mission planning. When Columbia lifted off in 1981, it was carrying not just technology, but decades of silent, unseen work. She made it possible for a new generation of astronauts. Women like Sally Ride, pioneers like Jan Bluford, to reach for the stars. Her legacy and yours. I mean, Katherine Johnson lived to see a world that finally recognized her. In 2015, at the age of 97, President Obama awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 2016, her story reached millions in the film Hidden Figures. But for decades, you guys, her name was missing from the record completely. And here's the truth. Many of us, maybe you, are walking that same path. You know, you might be building something, contributing, changing lives behind the scenes. Maybe no one sees it yet. Maybe no one is clapping for you yet. Maybe you're the hidden figure in your story. Heck, maybe it's just your kids that aren't saying thank you. But, you know, I think that Katherine's life reminds us that excellence is never wasted and truth always endures. And when the moment comes, when the countdown hits 0, the world will see the trajectory that you've been plotting all along. You are not invisible. You're indispensable. You're doing the math of your own miracle. So keep calculating, you guys. Keep launching. I think Katherine Johnson's story is a reminder that sometimes the most important work happens in the background. With no fanfare, no red carpets. It's about being so good at what you do that, I mean, when the stakes are high, you're the person that people turn to. And even if no one knows your name yet. So if you're grinding away on a project or running the numbers or solving problems that seem too big for anyone to tackle, then I say take a cue from Katherine, you guys. Stay focused, do the work, and let the results speak for themselves. I mean, your career might not always have that like crazy moon landing moment, but that doesn't mean that you're not building something just as important. So my message today is just to keep at it, and the world will catch up eventually. Thanks again, guys, so much for tuning in today, and I can't wait to share more stories next week. Thanks for listening. I will be releasing episodes every Monday, so be sure to subscribe on the platform that you are watching this, give it a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time.